what is it? Wellington Bicycle Junction. They gave it to us, and then earrings that have been made from the wires that came out of our building. So we're trying to upcycle. We're trying to reduce waste. We're trying to also work with other groups to have things in the crackers over the next years.
Great.
Like other people might sponsor and put in things in the cracker. We might have a golden ticket from somebody
Great
next
stuff.
year.
Wonderful stuff. Thank you. Happy Christmas to you. Susie Brower and Francine Cornamel of the Susie's Director of Hopper Enterprises.
Thank you. And Catherine, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everybody.
Now, kia ora and welcome to our Pacific correspondent, Korawaka Uta, news editor for RNZ Pacific. We've just been for the latest on the impacts of the cyclone in Fiji, and honestly, Vanuatu, it's sounding bad, the Northern Island.
Yeah, Bulavanaka. Yeah, as you would have heard from your previous guests, this is a Category 5, the highest level storm that has just basically swept over Vanuatu, the second biggest island in Fiji, overnight. So there's a lot of reports of devastation, of villages literally being flattened. And when we say flattened, there was a quote that the National Disaster Management Office director said in a couple of days earlier. She said that with the intensity of these winds, the magnitude of these winds, they have the ability to uproot plants, but she also said uproot houses, and it really is, when you think of gusts up to 350 k's an hour, the ability to pick up structures and dump them elsewhere, and that's literally what's happened in some of the areas in Vanuatu. We know Boer province has been hit particularly hard. Coms is down there for the most part, expectedly, and that unfortunately is also a place that was hit by Cyclone Winston nearly 4 or 5 years ago, and dozens of people had died then. Thankfully, the reports are preliminary that there are no casualties, but it's so early in the piece in terms of assessments, because you just can't get assessment assessment teams out there.
I think we'll learn possibly more later today, and certainly as time goes by, about
and
that koro.
It's also worth of note that it's not over for Fiji, because yes, there are those two big islands of Viti-Levu and Vanuatu, and it's now kind of rolling to the east of those islands, southeast. But there is also the Lau group, Moala group, which has 10 to 11,000 people there. They often are in the cyclone path, whether it comes from the northeast or the northwest, and this is again the case. Thankfully, the forecast is for it to the intensity to drop, but still, whether it's 200k winds or 300k winds, it's pretty devastating, particularly when there are these rural villages with structures that are not particularly strong in the first place.
And I know crops have been affected as well. You will keep us posted throughout the day, I'm sure, on RNZ. Now, in Samoa, what are the controversial amendments to the Constitution that are being discussed?
Yeah, well, this is something that's been going on for a while now, and we've talked about this on this show over the last few months. It's amendments to the Constitution and 3 bills that have been passed now, which have led to the Lands and Titles Court in Samoa basically being put on the same pedestal, the same level as the Supreme Court. So there is no appeal function now if that court rules. And the proponents of this move say that this allows these courts to take into account, Samoan custom, matai and that sort of thing. But there have been so many fervent opponents, including the Samoa Law Society. New Zealand's Law Society came out very strongly against it as well. And then Tuila Epasalele Maleangawe, the Prime Minister, actually rebuffed, if you remember, and told them to keep out of our business. But also even former judges, chief justices, that sort of thing, have spoken out against this, because basically it means that there is no, once this court says this is how it's going to go. And these are very sensitive matters, as we know, across the Pacific, when it comes to land, when it comes to custom, when it comes to culture, there is no right of appeal. And the other thing is, people who are against this have been saying that this Lands and Titles Court, whilst they might have the custom expertise, it's hard to kind of balance that with the legal expertise and whether that's available in this kind of structure.
Has it passed then, the legislation?
It has, but, and just a reminder that this led to a number of MPs dropping out from the ruling party, the HRPP party, including the Deputy Prime Minister, Fia May, who resigned from the party. She told RNZ Pacific now she's going to make this an election issue. So she's going to, the signs are that she's going to join what looks like to be the biggest opposition grouping and really challenge Tuila Epa come the election time and say this is not right. right, we need to change this. The only way we can change this is if we get in government.
Now, we were discussing the strange situation in Papua New Guinea where the opposition left the parliament, and you just remind me, and then they were going to miss, there was going to be a vote
grace period.
Yeah, there was What's happened? Have we had a no confidence vote?
Well, it was filed, it was all ready to go, and James Marape, the PNG Prime Minister, he's a survivor, he managed to, I won't say he managed, but basically 18 to 20 MPs jumped back onto the government side, and so he had the numbers to survive that no confidence motion didn't come about.
Strangely enough, he could have avoided the no confidence motion, couldn't he, by just ending the Parliament's term, I think. Which is what we were discussing, the strategy of it.
It's been adjourned till April, but what happened is the opposition went to court, and that the court ruled that Parliament must sit, but he still managed to survive.
People across.
Exactly.
Honestly,
it's amazing.
The politics there is, the strategy of it's utterly fascinating, isn't it? Yeah. Koro, thank you so much for your time on top of everything else you do.
Yeah, I have to say, Kilisimasi Fair to you and your listeners. Merry Christmas.
I was going to say Merry Kiramihiti, but however we say it, here's hoping it's a good one. I think we deserve it. You certainly do, my friend. Thank you very, very much. Koro Wakauta is RNZ Pacific's news editor. You're listening to 9 to Noon on RNZ National.